It's called a Belgian dip.
This way. You get your nice Belgian dip.
It's called a Dutch Blitz. That's a card game I learned yesterday.
Called the Dutch Dinger.
Dingers.
Well, I have a glass of red because I'm nothing if not consistent.
What happened? I saw it. You saw what? I saw it.
Welcome to Predator Minute, the podcast that breaks down the 1987 action sci-fi classic Predator 1 minute at a time. I'm John Zabriskie.
And I'm Jeff Glover.
And with us is returning champion guest Zach Zabriskie, my own brother.
My own brother. Hello.
Hey, Zach.
How are you, Zach?
Hey, everyone.
All right. Just so the audience at home knows, because this is more of an audio production rather than a visual one, Zach and I
But it paints a picture.
Let me paint a picture. Let me use 1,000 words to paint a picture. Zach and I are visiting our brother Aaron in Arkansas for the week. And sadly, Aaron was not able to join us, despite us flying and driving all this way just to see him. He couldn't join his own GD podcast. But Aaron, this one's for you.
Now, Zach, you are sitting in John's lap while you guys record, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
That's why one voice you can tell is like a little bit higher in elevation than the other one. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Just get comfortable.
Yeah, we didn't rent an Airbnb or anything. We're just at a Starbucks, so...
Starbucks. In Arkansas.
Spent all this money to get down here. We kind of forgot. But...
well, this is minute 50 of the Predator Minute podcast.
Big 5-0.
Big 5-0. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. I just wanted to give a shout out to all the guests who have been on Predator Minute podcast, just to share the love. 50 episodes in, you know we're doing stuff right because we're keeping it on going. So I was going to send a quick shout out to all the guests, if that's all right.
Do it.
Yeah. So first off, Aaron, the OG co-host, original co-host, will still come on and guest every once in a while.
And I am Aaron.
Not
Jeff,
when you're in Arkansas, though.
not Arkansas, weirdly enough. Jeffrey Glover, the current co-host. You start off as our first guest. With us today is our first ever guest, Jeff.
Hi there.
Hey, he even used
Way
my
back
full
when.
name.
Yeah. Carl Hungus. Zach Zabriskie, obviously, right here recording with us today. Also a brother of Aaron and myself.
Hello, I'm Zach.
Scott Fogel.
Hello, thank you for having me join your podcast.
Patrick Zabriskie, a cousin.
Hi, John.
The Indiana Jones Minute guys, Tom and Jerry. Tom Taylor and Jerry Porter, thank you.
We have Tom Taylor.
Hello.
And we have Jerry Porter.
That is me, a movie by minute Tyrannosaurus.
That was super cool of them to do that.
Way cool.
Yeah.
Our dad, Bill Zabriskie.
And hello, and great to be here.
Jeff and my coworker, Alan Batchelder.
And I'm Alan Batchelder.
Yeah, the Allen wrench.
Yeah, the Allen wrench. Eric Deutsch from Flash Gordon Minute and Escape from New York Minute.
You set us up! It's all bullshit! All of it! The cabinet minister, the whole business. You got us in here to do your dirty work. He didn't disappear. He was skinned alive.
Scott and Nick, Scott Corelli and Nick Jimenez from Back to the Future Minute and the Cornetto Trilogy Minute.
Hello. Hi. Happy to be here.
Adam Pranica from the Greatest Gen podcast, as well as Friendly Fire.
Are all of your episodes as pornographic as this one?
And who also has said he will come back for episode number 69.
Nice.
Yes.
And that wraps up all the guests we've had so far. An impressive list, and one list I hope we can keep adding guests to. So if you are out there listening and you're thinking, well, why aren't they saying my name? Because I so bad want to be on Predator Minute, just drop us a line, predatorminute@gmail.com. And without further ado, let's talk Predator Minute episode 50.
And we'll fly to your state of residence and try and get you on the podcast.
Yeah, and you'll immediately get an Airbnb and leave.
Not gonna live it down. Minute 50 of Predator as the David Robinson, the Admiral of Minutes. Do you know who that is, Jeff?
When we drafted Tim Duncan, I invited him to my home to get ready for the season. He was learning so much.
That doesn't count, you were out.
The roses are out, Timmy, not the daisies. So one day, you brought this into my home?
Of course.
Ah, of course.
Yes.
You're an NBA guy.
Oh, the Admiral. Mm-hmm.
The Admiral. Yeah.
I actually was anticipating that when I knew it was episode 50, and I was looking at David Robinson. I wanted to see some David Robinson clips, like against the Sonics. Or I was trying to. What I was really looking for was like, was there a time that Sean Kemp like dunked on David Robinson? That's what I wanted to see. And there was like one, and it was David Robinson was sort of like not even there. He's kind of off to the side. But what kept on coming up was a game in, I think it was 1992, where David Robinson scored 42 points on the Sonics. He was really good.
He was very good. Hall of Famer.
My dad used to call David Robinson the most boring, greatest player of all time because he was just so methodical and consistent. And like his dunks were usually just like two-handed jams from below the rim. Nothing flashy. He just got rebounds, blocked shots, and made shots in the key. And he was just a master at it. So hats off to David Robinson.
And then he hands it off to Tim Duncan, who's also the most boring, greatest player.
Right. That's funny.
Your dad just throws down the remote.
The roses, Tim, are out of bounds.
Yo, with the gnomes. The gnomes can be out of bounds.
Damn it.
Those Spurs. But minute 50 of Predator begins with Dutch asking Mac what happened.
Mac.
And ends with Ponchito saying, "We hit nothing."
Nothing.
We hit nothing.
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 Thing. That's a great line. We'll talk about that when we get there, but his inflection there is excellent.
After all the DACA from the last couple of minutes, we have the quiet reflection amongst the team members about what is going on, who's attacking us. So if you want to take it away, Jeff, recap what we're seeing in the first part.
Yeah, so Dutch has his weapon pointed towards the horribly destroyed jungle there, and we get a little dialogue between Dutch and Mac, and Dutch Mac. Dutch asks him, "What happened?" Arnold, what happened? And Mac says real quietly, "I saw it." And Dutch says back, "You saw what?" And then Mac is kind of angry and says, "I saw it." And Dutch turns towards Mac, who's Mac. He's still kind of staring off into the jungle. We see Dylan, who looks who looks kind of back and forth from Mac to Dutch. Dutch gives a little head nod, and then Billy and Ponchito run off into the jungle. And that's the first 15 seconds or so of this minute.
Yes.
Yeah. So here we have Mac is stunned. I think in this shot, he's really, is he the only one that's really gotten the best glimpse of it that hasn't died yet?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's in full kind of shock mode right here. Don't you guys think?
Yes. Oh yeah. What do you think he thinks he saw? He just says, "I saw it."
I saw it.
That's a good question. I was pondering that myself. Like, it would be hard to say that he is ready to admit that this is some alien or being from another planet. Like, that seems, I'm sure in his mind, he's still feeling like that's far-fetched. But he does know that it's something that he's never seen before. But at this moment in time, I think he might still be thinking, like, is this some soldier in some sort of technology, a camouflage suit of some sort that, he's never seen, that's some secret government experiment from some other country with weapons that he's obviously never seen before. That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, it's hard to think that he might actually be willing to admit that this is some sort of alien in the jungle. I don't know. I could be wrong. What do you guys think?
The pacing of this movie is something I think I like the most about it. And I like how here we are at minute 50, and this is the first real concrete anything our crew gets to know or see about their opponent. And so I like that this is, because we've been exposed to a little bit more as the audience, but I like how this is the first time we actually get to see them make some kind of discovery.
It's really good restraint in terms of the screenplay and McTiernan's direction to really draw it out and not show you too much.
Yeah, still not seeing too much. The most we've seen is the cloaked predator, and then beyond that, a pair of glowing yellow eyes.
Yeah, and just, the shot of his hand in the predator vision.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, John? What do you think he sees here? Do you have a theory?
If I had to go inside Mac's head, Mac. I would be thinking like it's definitely contributing to the shock is him not understanding what he's seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And them just having taken out the guerrillas as their latest opposition. Maybe he's thinking the Soviet connection lent itself to some kind of weird technology that cloaks the soldiers and allows them to attack from hidden positions. But then they flash golden yellow eyes at them.
Yeah, that's got to be the part that he's keeps on replaying over and over in his mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the hell was that? Any other thoughts on this first little exchange here?
Yeah, I just like it gives the rest of the crew something to be shaken up about also, because seeing Mac all shook up about it, then that obviously is going to make other people panic. And so him actually seeing it and, surviving it, and then, Dutch and everybody seeing his reaction to it. I like that that's finally infected the rest of the group.
Yeah, the way Mac devolves over the rest of the movie really makes me question if the team has seen him go through something like this before, like lose someone, a friend, and start panicking, or start thinking he's seeing things, or maybe even thinking he's a little bit crazy, a little bit nuts, because he has some nutty moments from here on out.
Yeah. You wonder what has gone on in the past that might be clouding the other team members' thoughts on Mac.
Yeah, Mac. Because in the script, originally, the way, I was going to say Matheny, the way Dutch is interacting with Mac is he's having to rip Old Painless out of Mac's hands and shake Mac by the shoulders and be right in his face and yelling at him. So I imagine from what we're seeing in the movie and in the script that the team is used to Mac maybe losing some focus, or Mac being hyper-focused on something else and not contributing to the intel for the mission.
Yeah, well, that would be on brand, knowing kind of how Mac reacts to the next series of events that takes place.
Mm-hmm.
Not to get too far ahead, but yeah. Well, all right. So next,
I think because we have Zach here, I think this is the perfect opportunity to do a dramatic line reading, because we have 3 different characters.
Nice.
So you all need to pick out who you want to be.
Who's going to do the Arnold impression?
I think you have to do it, Jeff, because you're the best Arnold.
I think, yeah, you're pretty good at it.
What's got Billy so spooked?
I don't know if I'm the best at it.
I like that one. I like the Billies.
What's got Billy so spooked? But I will do it. I will try my best.
Zach, who do you want?
Oh man, I want to listen to it one more time before going for it.
Okay,
but
if you had to choose between Carl Weathers and Bill Duke,
Carl Weathers,
both of whom we would love to have on the show sometime.
Carl Weathers. I do want to hear it one more time though.
You want to hear him say?
So because look at all the meat on that bone.
Throwing some water. You got yourself a stew going.
You got yourself a stew going with that.
Whoa. There's still plenty of meat on that bone. You take this home, throw it in a pot, add some broth, a potato. Baby, you got a stew going.
I'm assuming he's thinking that right now. Okay, and before we get to that, Dylan has these nice shifty eyes that he does, right before this part.
Right.
And the shifty eyes always make me laugh because it always reminds me of Frank Drebin from Police Squad and Naked Gun. Whenever I see the shifty eyes, that's all I think of.
Take the names of everybody here for questioning. I gotta get inside.
That is a funny shifty eye there, about second 15.
I know it's supposed to be dramatic and everything, but Leslie Nielsen did that so well, where whenever he would screw up really badly, and he knew he would screw up, but no one else would know it, he would find a little moment for himself and kind of look off, not to the camera, but look off to the side, and he would do the little shifty eyes, I really beefed that one, didn't I? And
who knew there were so many connections to the Naked Gun?
What else has there been?
I feel like we talk about the Naked Gun every episode.
there's a good chance I've brought it up before because I love Naked Gun and all that. So
They've done the jungle shootout compared to tapping the trooper on the shoulder and everybody starts shooting the house.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
We also did the car going down the hill and he shoots at it, even though it's his car and it blows up.
Jungle, that's a good comparison with the jungle.
I would say if you have to give some kind of inner dialogue to the shifty eye scene, the character we know as Dylan seems to be thinking like, I gotta get the hell out of here.
Yeah, what the hell did I just get myself into?
That is a great...
Well, actually, it's not that far off, actually, because he's the one who started this whole mission and kind of led them on with kind of misinformation. Mm-hmm. And now look where he is.
Now he's fucked.
This thing really blew up on him. So, I mean, I guess he is the culprit or the guilty one in this case. So, I guess the Leslie Nielsen eyes kind of match in this case. So, yeah.
Yeah, like they should be just so pissed at him, like on and on throughout the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's probably what he's thinking. He's like
our guys are dying. These are good men. These are good soldiers. All right, go ahead. Start us off, Dutch.
All right, dramatic line read. Blaine, no powder burns, no shrapnel.
The wound's all fused, cauterized. What the hell could have done this to a man?
Mac. Look at me. Who did this?
I don't know, goddammit. I saw something.
Nice.
And scene.
Hey, can we all laugh at the part where... Do y'all know what I'm going to say? Where he says, the wound's all fused, cauterized. What the hell could have done this to a man? I love how that plays out. Mac! That's so... did y'all laugh at that same part? Where he says, what could have done this to a man? And when you watch it in real time, there's, not even a break. He just goes, Mac! like it was Mac that did it. John, play with the audio. This is good.
That's funny.
The wound's all fused, cauterized. What the hell could have done this to a man?
Mac! It's like he's trying to call on Mac as a student, like in class. Like, Mac, you know things. What could have done this to a man?
Highly recommend watching that part.
I just watched it too. What could have done this to a man?
And then he looks up at the camera and he goes, Mac. Like the first one's not panicked. The first one's very matter of fact. So he's like, oh, Mac.
And then Mac's face is also kind of like, what you talking about, man? Why'd you say my name?
Okay, the other funny part, I think you pointed out before, was the first thing Dutch says is Blaine. To identify who this is. The face is still clearly visible.
I know, yeah, and that's the funniest. The first thing he says is Blaine. Anyone else there doesn't know who that is. The corpse in front of them.
This was a murder.
Blaine, no powder burns, no shrapnel.
Blaine, no powder burns, no shrapnel.
Hey, is this the goriest thing in the movie, this wound right here?
Besides the skin bodies hanging?
Those are pretty gross too.
Yeah, but no, you're right, Zach. That whole sequence of the blood spraying out of Blaine's chest and then the blood pack hitting him in the side of the face. And then we get a quick shot of his exposed chest here. And we got one last minute as well. It's pretty gruesome. I think it's one of the more gruesome things that we get in this film for sure.
Yeah, I guess you're right with the hanging bodies. That might be the most viscera you see.
They keep it partly out of frame. There it's in the frame on the bottom. But as soon as Dylan turns over the body, the camera pans away from it. Mm-hmm. So John McTiernan's not trying to spend too much time on this obsessing over the wound itself. But it is gnarly. It is just a hole in Blaine's chest.
And John, you posted a picture in the kind of the notes here where it's a much taller shot where you actually see the whole wound. Mm-hmm. Is that, I don't know, where'd you get that from, I guess?
Just online. I think this must be a production still. That's where a lot of these things come from. From a couple minutes ago, I have a whole separate document where I found the production stills of Blaine dying and then he's being fixed up by the special effects team.
Because that was a good point you made, that they obviously put a lot of effort into that wound. They could have shown it more, or they could have shown it for longer or something. But yeah, I wonder if that was a choice to not emphasize it. It's there, but you don't need it. You don't need a close up on the whole thing.
It's there to service the story. It's not like the movie is there to please the gore hounds as much.
And a lot of times gore effects like that if you linger on it too long or have too much of a close up, you get a kind of a peek behind the curtain and it doesn't quite look as real as you would want it to. So I think it's effective, like showing it quickly. You can see how gory it is. You can see the wound that's happening, or that has happened to him. But, you know, you don't linger on it too long to compromise the effect. Because it's clearly like a big prosthetic like piece that they've attached to his chest.
Oh yeah,
it
totally.
protrudes like way out. It's probably further than it naturally would.
Yeah.
So by kind of hiding that, masking that by just getting glimpses of it from the side, and you get a really fast shot of it in the last minute, kind of, like I said, preserves the effects.
Yeah, it's always better left to some imagination.
Exactly.
Oh, it is, although you're saying how it's all protruding, and it totally is, but I guess that's at least consistent where he got hit from behind, so it kind of blew everything out forward. It's
that's
gross,
true.
But it's consistent.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, for sure. It's gnarly. It's pretty awesome.
It's gnarly. And yeah, they quickly diagnosed this as having no powder burns, no shrapnel, the wound being cauterized, which is... I'm not really sure how massive wounds like that work, but in the previous couple of minutes we saw his chest explode outward and he had a ton of blood exit his body, and then everything's cauterized, so I'm not really sure the process. Maybe, Zach, you can talk to that whole sequence of events of a laser going through somebody. Was it going to...
Can we call it plasma? Can we say that the plasma kind of...
Yeah, because it's a plasma cast.
Kind of stuck on, like, stuck on his insides and over the course of a couple seconds cauterized it.
After blowing out a big chunk of
That's my headcanon for the shoulder cannon.
Ooh.
Yeah, because the plasma fire would sort of blow out the hole through his chest, and then as the plasma travels through, leaves a cauterized wound in its wake, essentially.
And how lame would it be if there was no blood when he died?
Right.
Like, if he just went, ugh, and then fell over.
Yeah.
That would be super lame. I mean, you have to have something visual there.
It'd be like playing Mortal Kombat on SNES, the Mortal Kombat 1.
Yes.
Because unlike Genesis, they didn't have the blood, and it was just all like sweat that would fall, and you would not have any of the gore effects.
Do you remember having to like find the cheat code? There was a cheat code you could plug in that would expose the blood.
Yeah, I think it exposed the blood, but it wouldn't make, like, you wouldn't have like the arcade deaths like the Genesis version would have.
Right.
But then all that changed in Mortal Kombat 2. I remember playing that, and basically secrecy with with Aaron and maybe Zach, and then our dad taking it away and not letting us play.
That's awesome.
Boo.
I know that game was so controversial when it came out, and now it's like nothing.
Yeah, now it's nothing. Now it's just like tame compared to today's standards. From the script, there's a little bit more in depth that they're talking about, Dylan and Dutch, and describing Blaine's wounds. This is Dylan saying, just like the others, surgical. It's cut through the thoracic cavity like a scalpel. Muscle, sternum, tendon, bone, in one stroke. And Dutch says, machete? Dylan says, too clean for a machete. Impossible. Looks like laser surgery. It cut and cauterized all at once. So they go into much more depth there. And as we've always been saying from day one, the more they cut from the script, the better. The more it leaves to the imagination about what the weapon is. They're not trying to fill us in all the time about what we're seeing or
was that did he have the same death in that version of the script?
He had the same death in that version of the script. The difference is in the script it just says the weapon.
Yeah.
It never really describes the weapon until much later.
I was just
in the
wondering
book.
if his blades were involved since they were talking about machetes. So I was...
Yeah, that's a good point.
Machete.
That's a good point.
Machete.
Right, so anything further on the second part there where he apparently is accusing Mac possibly about what could have done this to him? Man?
That's my favorite part. That's what I wanted to point out.
Nope, I'm good there.
Okay.
So that brings us to the last 10 seconds or so of this minute. And we have Ponchito running into the frame, coming back to the team. And, and delivers the great line. He says, not a thing. Not a fucking trace. No blood. No bodies. We hit nothing.
Not a thing. Not a fucking trace. No blood, no bodies. We hit nothing.
We hit nothing.
We hit nothing.
And I love the line delivery there. You mentioned this in your notes as well, and I have to agree. It is the way he delivers that last sentence is it's hard to describe, but it just conveys a lot.
Yeah, he can't believe that he's finding nothing. He's definitely angry because there's no way for them to wreak vengeance upon their enemies because they just are not able to shoot enough bullets to take them down.
Yeah, there's a little exasperation there.
Yeah, a little exasperation, a little desperation, and I think that is telling to Ponchito's character that he becomes desperate in these dire situations. Some of them become focused and orderly and in command, like Dutch, and some start to fall apart, like Ponchito and Mac.
Yeah, it's a good little line that fits his character kind of to a T. I think we hit nothing.
We hit nothing.
Nothing. And that's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Ponchito lines from the whole movie.
Yeah.
Just because he's selling everything in that line, and it's scary as an audience viewer for the first time to think that this enemy is nearly invincible if that's the case, if they're emptying all these bullets and explosives into the jungle without any harm befalling their enemy.
Yeah, it's good, and it's not a big freak out thing either. It's
right.
Yeah, it's I think it would be lazier if he was just really like angry and loud and like, oh, we hit nothing, what the heck? Like instead, it's when it's all quiet. I think it's a lot more menacing. It kind of what it makes me think of a bit. What it reminded me of.
Naked Gun
was. I wish I could find something.
Yeah,
but no, what it reminded me of. It's like this movie's version of Game Over, Man. From Alien.
Game over, man. It's game over.
That's what it reminded me of.
Oh yeah, good call.
It's kind of like you get to see that like the desperation set in,
and a bit of an acknowledgement that they are outmatched and could very well meet their maker here.
Right, like maybe this is the first time ever where they've all fired their weapons simultaneously and not hit anybody.
Right,
no bodies,
yeah.
No bodies.
Just bodies.
Just bodies.
Just bodies.
Just bodies.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the minute, unless you guys have other things to add.
I don't think so. Well, I guess just talk about the music. I like how the whole last minute didn't have any music, and then now that you've kind of had a chance for what just happened to set in, they start to ramp the music back in.
Yeah, and the Silvestri score here again is great. We get a combination of kind of those high strings that build the tension. And, once again, it's hard to listen to this score without thinking of some of the other movies he's done from the 80s, like Back to the Future and whatnot. When you really stop, if you close your eyes and just listen to it, you can hear the parallels for sure.
Yeah, the music is calling back to right after Hawkins died, too. This is a very similar setup. When Hawkins died, they're all gathered around where Hawkins was killed, and Dylan is having this realization about they did the same thing to Jim Hopper, and you hear the same exact music, that high stringy, that like gruesome, grisly discovery kind of music, which is in itself a callback way back when to when they find the bodies skinned alive, when they find the bodies skinned and hung from the tree. So good catch, Zach. Do you have anything else there, Zach?
Nah, that's all I got.
John McTiernan, in his director's commentary, is finishing up his thought that his scene of all of them firing and hitting nothing is meant to show the impotence of all of these guns, which McTiernan believes was the opposite of what he had been hired to sell. So in this kind of weird twist, Joel Silver and the Fox executives are probably loving the dailies of all this gunfire happening and them tearing down the jungle and launching explosives and leaving the jungle in this fine, smoky wreckage. But all the while, in John McTiernan's mind, allegedly, he's doing this to show that their technology, their weaponry is no match for something from beyond Earth.
Yeah, it's a futile attempt.
It's great. Just all the betrayal of expectations in this whole movie I really like. And that goes along with the pacing, that goes along with kind of I'd say, I guess I can't really say it has a low kill count because they do kill a lot of people, but right, like if you bring up Predator to people, they're like, oh, I don't know, isn't that movie really boring and slow? And I like that because it is like an action movie. It is kind of a thriller movie, but I like how they surprise you with that. And so I'd say that's that same kind of thing where, the longest like sequence of gunfiring results in no bodies.
Yeah.
So
we hit nothing.
Yeah, I just kind of chalk that up to just kind of the general fake out that this movie is.
Indeed. Jeff, do you have anything else?
I think I'm good.
So is it time for weekly recommends?
Yeah, let's do it. Zach, as our guest, would you like to go first? Do you have something to recommend this week?
Sure, I'll recommend a couple things. I'm big into speedruns. I love speedruns where you beat a video game as quickly as possible, or just complete some silly video game challenges. It's all kind of in the same realm. So for anybody who already enjoys speedruns, or anybody who wants just a taste of some of the absolute brain power that can go behind some of these things, look up on YouTube, look up Mario Rolling Rocks. And it's like a 20-minute video or so. It's got all this in-depth commentary about Mario 64 and just some arbitrary challenge to beat a level pressing the A button as few times as possible. And it's the kind of thing that I'm super into. And yeah, if you're interested at all, I think it should be interesting kind of regardless of whether you're into speedruns or not. Because the guy does a good job explaining it as if you have never played the game before, or as if you really have no prior knowledge of any of this, and that's just kind of an example of sort of good speedrun stuff. So there you go. That's my speedrun YouTube recommend video.
Nice.
Did you have another recommend?
I just wrote down a music recommend. I've been listening to OC Remix a lot lately, kind of keeping the theme of video games, I guess. OC Remix, of course, being Overclocked Remix, where people do video game remixes. And there is one, so I really like Chrono Trigger. There's one I heard recently I enjoyed called Subterranean Opus, and it's the Sewers music remix. I thought that was a really good one.
Nice.
Awesome. Jeff, were you a big Chrono Trigger fan back in the 90s?
You know what? I was not. That game was not on my radar when I was that age, and I kind of discovered it. I think you actually mentioned it to me as being like it was a Super Nintendo game, right?
It was.
Yeah, as a great Super Nintendo title to check out. But it's not one that I had as a kid, so I was unfamiliar with it until much later in life. And I wasn't a huge RPG kid when I was younger, so that one.
What?
I know that might have skipped by me.
So I didn't like. I still am not a big RPG guy. I've beaten very few RPGs or JRPGs or anything, but Chrono Trigger puts a lot of emphasis on actually playing through the game with like no grinding. So there's no random encounters. There's no overworld encounters, and you don't really have to grind at all, which I guess makes it sound kind of easy, but it's a good game, and that's why I was able to play through it, was because you don't have to like sit and level up your characters, or you don't have to like run around the map figuring out where to go next. Like, they do a pretty good job of moving you along.
Right. Oh, that's cool. That's probably what I would like then too, because I tend to lose patience with RPGs for that exact reason.
Yeah. No, this one I would say make sure you don't lose patience.
Were you more of an NBA Jam fan, Jeff?
I liked the NBA Jam. I just really liked the kind of classic Nintendo titles, like the Mario games, Mario Kart. I played. When we got to 64, I played Bond a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So that was kind of my jam, for sure. Super Mario World, the first Mario game for the Super Nintendo, is probably my favorite game of all time.
Wow, all right.
Yeah.
Did you get all the exits? Did you get all the secret exits?
I can do all 96 exits, correct.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nerds.
Not bad.
Oh wait.
Every once in a while, if I have some time, I'll just pull that up on my emulator and try to bang out all 96 exits again.
Whoa,
that's impressive.
Yeah.
I've never beaten all the exits, so.
Oh yeah,
that's good.
I think Aaron and I did back in the day as like a tag team effort. We'd hot seat it, take turns playing.
Yeah, some of them are tough, especially when you get to Star World. Those are the ones that can be pretty tricky. And then finding some of the secret exits is tough if you don't know where they are. But I played that game endlessly when I was a kid. So,
Jeff, what's on your weekly recommend?
Yeah, so I went and saw a new movie in the cinema this last week. And it's one that if you are a fan of this director, you probably have already gone to see it. But I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the next Quentin Tarantino movie. I give this a strong recommend. I'm predisposed to enjoy anything by Tarantino. He's one of my favorite filmmakers. I love all his movies, really. and this one is no exception. This one feels a little different than some of his other films. A lot of his older movies, he uses kind of a chapter structure, where he breaks the movie down and literally has like chapter 1 with the title, chapter 2, etc. And in this, he does not. It's more of a meandering story that kind of switches back and forth between 2 or 3 characters, and the weaving storylines kind of all come together in quite the memorable finale that I will certainly not spoil. But I really, really enjoyed it. It is long. You have to kind of settle in and be ready because it's over 2.5 hours. But for me,
Nice.
I was sort of... Tarantino has this gift where he will put together these scenes that they play out quite slowly. But for some reason, the way the dialogue is structured and the way the scene unfolds just always pulls me in, and I'm always kind of on the edge of my seat to see what's going to happen next. So
Yeah, you get that built-in tension, right?
yeah, and he does that over and over again in this film, and it makes it I didn't notice how long it was, really.
I like those kind of scenes where it's like everything's super tense and you actually don't know how it's going to resolve.
Yes. And there were several scenes where I wasn't quite sure how this was going to play out. And there's some humor, some, of course, classic Tarantino violence. And the performances by Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio are pretty incredible, pretty top-notch. I would not be surprised if one or both of them were nominated for Oscars this year for their performances. Yeah. Very, very good. So I give a strong recommend. If you are a Tarantino fan already, check it out for sure. If you're not, this might be one that might pull you into his filmography. So check it out.
Cool. Thanks for the recommend.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Correct.
Neat. Well, I have been watching and enjoying an Amazon show that just came out called The Boys. It's very much in the vein of these superhero takedown movies in which superheroes are portrayed more as antagonists and more as really people who have real problems and are not necessarily doing the best thing for society. It's a really interesting look. It's based on a comic series from, I believe, 2006 to 2012. I might be wrong there. But the whole premise is that there's a group of people who want to take down this very public group of superheroes. This group of superheroes who are sponsored by a big corporation and have commercials made about them and fake reality TV shows put out about them. Meanwhile, the heroes themselves more or less do whatever they want to do, for good or bad, and obviously a lot of bad in this show. So it's really interesting seeing the dynamic between the people, like I said, who want to take them down, and the superheroes who think they're really better than the common folk that they're expected to protect, or that the common folk expect to protect them. Yeah, I would tune in for the action sequences, but really the tension, like you're talking about tension in the Tarantino movies and in other movies, of course, too. But there's a lot of really good tense moments in this show, and I'm really curious, just suspensefully curious about how this is all going to wrap up in the next few episodes because of the momentum that they've started among different characters and their motivations.
Huh. Now, are these like new superhero characters, or are they using existing superheroes that we would already know?
They're new superheroes, but very clearly based on the Justice League, especially. So like, you have your Superman analog, your Aquaman, your Wonder Woman analogs. I really have to give, if I were to give like most interesting character, it would definitely be Carl Urban as Billy Butcher, the leader of this group, colloquially known as the Boys. He is just amped up with his accent, with his abrasiveness, with his brutality, and you just can't take your eyes off of him. You just always want to know what he's going to do next in the show. So check out Amazon's The Boys.
Nice.
All right, so now's the time when we ask our guest, where can people find you? Zach? Yo, Zach.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch. I don't stream there, but if you message me, I'll see it on there. And my Twitch handle is Apparition, but it's not spelled like that because that name's always taken. So it's APPAR1TION. So like when people read it, it's like Apparition is how a lot of people say it. So, or I don't know, it gets some funny pronunciations. But yeah, feel free to message me on there.
All right. What about you, Jeff? Where can people find you?
Well, of course, you can find me on the Twitters, Carl_Hungus314.
My name is Carl, ich bin expert.
Jeff Glover on the Twitter. Come follow.
All right. You can find Predator Minute on Twitter as well, at Predator Minute. Like I said before in the show, our email address is predatorminute@gmail.com. And you can join the discussion, start a discussion on Facebook with our group, Predator Minute Listeners Palapa, named by our guest.
Hey, that was
today,
me.
Zach Zabriskie. Hey.
Target the center of the Palapa.
Target the center of the Palapa.
I love that.
Target the center of the Palapa.
I love that. If you'd like to see what other podcasts break down movies in the minute-by-minute format, you can check them out at moviesbyminutes.com. Our intro and outro music are provided by... our bumper music
we
is
make
provided...
him do it every time, so yeah, present tense is provided.
Well, people are listening to this in the future, though, and we'll have already used it. Oh, but I guess I'm recording the present.
Yeah.
That's why they call it a gift. No, wait, that's backwards.
Yikes.
Today is a gift. That's why they call it yesterday.
Is target the center of the Palapa? That's one of the more specific commands given in the heat of battle, probably.
Yes.
Target the center of the Palapa.
Yes, I think that's. I think it's the only command given during the siege on the camp. After Dutch just tells the people what to do to set everything up, he just rolls the C4 in and target the center of the Palapa, and they target every part of the Palapa, right? Like using every part of the Palapa.
I love how, I guess, kind of inconsequential that command is.
Target the center of the Palapa.
Because they're blowing everything up anyways.
Yes.
And we've seen how sparing and how careful they've been with dialogue in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that made it in.
I remember remarking that, I imagine a guy going, "Oh, thank you for telling me I was going to target the side of the Palapa."
I was going to graze some bullets off the side or the roof. I should target the center next time.
Hey, do y'all say stuff during the outro? I forget. Just little quips.
We have little
quips and quotes and things.
Quips and quotes, yeah. After we do the outro, yeah.
Okay.
Do you have something to add?
I might.
All right.
Just want to make sure I got it in before you stopped recording.
Yep. Okay. Our music is provided by Chaosware. That is KAOSWARE. He has a YouTube channel, and the coolest video is, of course, his cover of the Predator theme on his electric guitar. And which his electric... What the hell was that?
That was a very Predator-esque noise, wasn't it?
That was.
I hope that comes through on the mic, because that totally sounded...
I felt that.
It was a lot like the Predator clicking.
All right. Yeah, all right, cool. In that video, Chaosware's guitar becomes camouflaged, becomes invisible. I don't know how he does it. It's really neat, so I'd recommend checking that out. And for Predator Minute, I've been John Zabriskie.
And I'm Jeff Glover.
And I'm Zach.
And until next time...
Stick around.
Stick around.
The wound's all fused, cauterized. What the hell could have done this to a man?
Mac!
Thank you.
No powder, no shrapnel.
I just wanted the
Blaine!
Blaine.
The Mac was...
It'd be great if he was like, Blaine, are you okay? Blaine, wake up. We scared it off. Blaine? Why does he not open his eyes?
Blaine. No powder burns. No shrapnel.
The wound's all fused, cauterized. What the hell could have done this to a man?
Mac.
Mac!
Mac, look at me.
Who did this? I don't know, goddamn. I saw something.
Hey everybody, this is Heidi
Let off some steam.
Bennett of Vibrant Visionaries podcast and Spinal Tap Minute podcast. And this is a quick little promo for an upcoming event that my co-host Sean and I wanted to tell you about, and it's Movies by Minutes Portland. Welcome to this promo, Sean. How are you doing over there?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.
We're going to be meeting up in Portland, Oregon on Saturday, August 24th. For live podcasting, games, and on the stage, we've got the Movies by Minutes guys from Star Wars Minute. Actually, it's going to be a mashup of Star Wars Minute and the Godfather Minute.
Oh, wow. That sounds great.
Yeah, and then we're going to have the newly pod game. Rick from Mad Max Minute is going to be hosting that. Vibrant Visionaries, where I'm going to have the fellas from Open the Podcast Doors, Hal, which I think you could probably figure out which podcast that is. Yeah. And then just added the Cast and the Furious. So lots of live podcasting and some games going on. So I wanted to ask you about the game that you're going to be a part of. Why don't you tell me more about the Cystic Fibrosis Fundraiser Movie Trivia Tournament?
Sure. Yeah. It's a trivia competition between teams of movie podcasters and movie fans answering trivia questions about movies. In Portland on that Saturday will be the final round to name this year's champion. And this is all to raise funds for research into cystic fibrosis. The contestants can get hints from the audience for, I think it'll be $5 or $10 or something like that.
Yeah, so just a little bit more about the event. It is actually the third year we've done this. We started by doing a Movies by Minutes in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Last year we went to
Denver.
This year we're in Portland. Tickets are $20. It's a family-friendly event, and it's really a social event. So we'll have a break for lunch. We'll have beer and wine will be served, and then lots of live podcasting and just opportunities to socialize and hang out with fellow listeners, hang out with other podcasters. If you're a podcaster out there in the Pacific Northwest, we'd love to have you come and, mix, mingle, and swag swap with us. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it's not just for the Movies by Minutes listener, but the podcast listener and fan alike.
It's not a technical conference. If you've ever been to a conference for work where everyone's talking about kind of the behind the scenes stuff and the nitty gritty, there's certainly some of that. There will be experienced podcasters there. So if you're looking to get your own podcast off the ground and you want to talk to some people and get some input, there's that as well. But it's mainly for listeners. Listeners would get the most out of it. See your favorite podcasts live on stage. And also there are a lot of folks that'll be coming in from around the country and around the world. The formal meeting itself that you need to buy a ticket to is just that Saturday, but we'll be around that whole weekend. I know a lot of the podcasters into board games. So if you're a big board game person, there's going to be informal gatherings of people playing board games. If you're into pinball and arcade games, I've been scouting out arcades in the Portland area, and there's a few that are not too far from the theater. So I'm sure there's going to be some pinball and video game playing going on that weekend as well. So it really is a whole weekend of fun and events for podcasters, for listeners, for folks that just love to talk about movies.
Sweet.
We should tell the fine folks where they can get tickets.
Go to moviesbyminutes.com/Portland. That's moviesbyminutes.com/Portland to buy tickets. Again, tickets are $20.
Listeners, we look forward to seeing you there.
All right. See you in Portland.